Yes, sir. Hey, welcome back, my fellow baseball fans, to another episode of Dirt Diamond Sports Talk here, now proudly part of the Spark Podcast Network. As always, I'm Ryan, joined here by my man, Wally. Hey, guys, make sure you catch us over on X Live. We're on YouTube Live. And find us on any of your favorite podcast apps. Hit that subscribe button. Give us a like. Some of those things, you can leave us a little comment. Let's start some conversation here. Man, tonight we're going to walk through some of the weird Astros weekend where the team technically did its job, but taking 2 out of 3 from the White Sox, that final ugly game kind of stole a good taste in your mouth of the whole series. So starting with the good, the Astros rallied from 5 down on Friday. Hunter Brown really looks like the Hunter Brown that we need and love. Isaac Paredes kept producing in big spots. Cam Smith showed a little bit of signs of life again after a little reset in a series off. Jeremy Pena just keeps making the trade deadline conversation harder. We'll get into that a little later. But we can't ignore the bad, that Sunday night throwaway game, Sunday afternoon throwaway game. That, man, bullpen coverage option, just thin and a problem. No Blanco. Maybe that first one was just kind of a gimme, still looking a little rusty. Chicago just launched a ton of long balls. Lineup for the Astros still showing they can go quiet once you get past the top of that lineup. We're going to dig into a little bit about Yainer Diaz because it's gotten pretty rough, and I've always been a fan of this guy. So we'll play a little bit of devil's advocate, but we got to ask whether or not there's still reasons to believe that this guy is part of the solution and part of the long-term viability of being the catcher for the Astros. Finally, we want to get into that. There's just a lot of chatter out there about Jeremy Pena, and maybe there's some reasons why trading him makes sense on paper. There's obviously a lot of reasons why keeping him makes sense in reality. This deadline is just such a strange spot for this team. Still under 500, not absolutely dead in the water, but not starting tonight off very good either against the Angels. Wally, the Astros won the series. Sunday made me feel like they left Chicago with some homework to do. And then starting off the game tonight, not looking great against the Angels. They had a really nice 8-run 6th inning on Friday. They kind of just made this team look like nobody could stop them.
Well, this is, a typical Astros series that we've seen as you win 2 out of 3 and lose the run differential. We've talked about it before when the starters don't go long. Think of it in boxing. It's about like taking body punches. We throw the bullpen out on Friday night, and you get Blueball, and you get Tung, and you get Souza, and then you get Abreu, and then you get Okert, and then you get Hader. And each of those guys threw 15 plus pitches, with the exception of Abreu and Hader. By the way, Abreu was deadly that night.
Yep.
But you try to bring him back a couple of days later. Souza came back. Abreu came back the next night. He wasn't good. And by the time you get to Sunday, there's nothing left.
Yep.
Uyola was brought up from the farm and didn't have a good game, but they had sent Tung back down. De Los Santos King came was down on the farm. He was brought up, and he showed why he got put down to the farm. Maybe these guys have had too many games because the starters are one of the lowest per inning rates of the league. Um, the bullpen the whole series they had a 5.88 ERA. The bullpen was 6.39. ERA for the starters was 5.40, which only means they both stunk. If your name wasn't Hunter Brown and Josh Hader, you weren't very good.
Right.
And Abreu was okay. He had that game in the second game where he didn't give up any runs, but Joe didn't give him a long leash either.
Yeah. It wasn't just and the thing about Brown for me, it wasn't just a good Hunter Brown start. Like this was a reminder of what one Hunter Brown was supposed to be looking like, and two, kind of what this rotation was planned out to look like with Hunter as the ace and throwing like an actual ace. And it's really frustrating, and it really makes me sad as to how the direction that this season has gone because of just the issues that this starting rotation has really brought to this Astros team. And it kind of just gives you that what if question in the back of your mind. Like, what if, man, this team had healthy, good starting pitching over the course of the season, considering how close the division is, one, and how close the whole American League is. We could be in a lot better position right now if this starting rotation hadn't just completely fallen apart.
Hunter's a microcosm of the whole season.
Yeah,
you look at him. He can be good. He can be bad. But generally speaking, he's been kind of in the middle. He had a good game the other Saturday night. That's his best start of the season. Some of it you want to take a step back and give him some grace because shoulders are tricky, and he may still be building that thing up. The big tell is going to be how does he do next time around.
Yeah,
we need Hunter Brown to be 2025 Hunter Brown because the way this road trip is starting, it looks like it could be what we were afraid it was going to be, and they really need to sweep this series against the Angels. They brought in Blue Ball, and Blue Ball it's still 2-0. So Blue Ball's she got out of the first, but it is it's touch and go. It's touch and go with everything they do. A couple of notes on the hitting. The hitting was like in many of these series, you'll have one game when they go lights out, and which would have been game one, and
Friday night.
They had an 8:57.
Well, I don't know. They looked dead up until the fifth inning Friday night.
Yeah, but that whole game is kind of emblematic of the season. You have 8 innings of dead and one inning of production. They had a 857 OPS for the game. They're 6 for 7 with runners in scoring position. But that all came in one inning. It hides what the rest of the game was about. For the series, they had a 694 OPS. 8 for 23 with runners in scoring position. Not bad. Almost 350. Saw a lot of pitches, but it's just kind of choppy performance we've seen all season, and they've got to put the hammer down because you and I talked a show or two ago that we wish they'd choose a lane, buy or sell. Yeah. Right now they're straddling the middle of the road.
Well, it's logically when you look at this team and when you look at what needs to be done in order for this team to, I like to use the phrase move the needle. It's still looking like there's way too many pieces that this team needs to be a truly competitive team. But Dana Brown keeps going out there and saying, we're buyers, we're buyers, we're buyers.
Well, and I wouldn't expect him to say anything else. Be
Well,
quite
that's
honest.
true.
What
That's
he's
true.
saying in public and what they're saying behind closed doors may be two different things. We say it every show, but it bears repeating. Every person you buy, it's going to take at least two people to two prospects to get them back, unless you give them your top prospect. You might be able to do a one for one prospect, but really the Astros' top prospects aren't near what some other teams are.
Right. Yeah, and I think that
They,
that's been a problem for the last few years that everybody talks about is, the Astros, the capital problem. They just don't have trade capital to go out there and really make deals that could impact the outcome of a season like this, especially with only 50 games left.
and we've said it before, but when you start talking about prospects, it's such a crapshoot. When the Astros traded for JV, they gave up Ryan Clifford. Everybody was afraid of, didn't want to give up Ryan Clifford. Well,
Drew
Ryan
Gilbert.
Clifford still, yeah, and Gilbert. Well, most people were okay with giving up Gilbert.
Yeah, there were a few people that were pretty fussy about that one, but we knew that it
But
was.
is a 230 hitter with San Francisco. He's a fourth outfielder, and Ryan
Yep.
Clifford he was a high school kid,
Yeah.
but he's still not come up. So you give up someone who's buying prospects has got to get volume, because the chances of those guys working out is 1 in 3 most likely.
Yeah. Well, and start looking at what it is that the Astros say they want and need, and what we really kind of can look at and say this team needs X, Y, and Z. The list is long, and you and I have had a few conversations offline recently about adding the position of catcher to that list, because as much of a fan of his that I've been, and as hopeful as I've been that this guy could figure it out and turn it around, Yainer Diaz has been horrid.
He's been a dog with fleas.
Yeah.
I mean, he is. We've tried to defend him in group chats, but when you look at someone like that, it is. You look at where he's been over the last several years. He came out as a rookie and he had an 846 OPS, and you thought this was a James Click special, to where he had really done something by trading. Who was the outfielder they traded?
Miles Straw.
Miles Straw.
Yep.
They got Miles Straw, and they got Phil Maton, and they got Yainer. Yainer was in the minors, came up. And his OPSs have been really strikingly on a downward decline. Has been 846, 766, 701, and 637. The most disturbing thing to me about Yainer is that he's making the same mistakes today that he did, that he did 4 years ago. He doesn't control the strike zone. His whiff percentage in the strike zone, I haven't looked at it, but it seems high. It seems like he's just not getting any better. His framing is below the league average. When you look at wins and losses, the Astros record with Vasquez behind the plate is 33-21, which means that if you're not named Vasquez, your record is 19-34, and most of those are Yainer. You had that stretch where Salazar came up. He probably had 6, 7, 8 starts, but most of this is Yainer.
Yeah.
The pitchers.
Here's a few StatCast. Just a few things from StatCast, from his profile, that kind of back up this eye test, right? You brought up 23, 24, 25, and then this year. Exit velocity, 23, 90 miles an hour. 24, 90 miles an hour. 25, 89 miles an hour. 26, 87 miles an hour. His hard hit rate from 2024 was 47.5%. Last year, 42.2. This year, 32.7. That's a huge problem, man.
That's a large amount of suction.
Listen to this. And here's the thing is that we had the big hope for Yiner was that he was going to end up being a guy that could bring some power and some lift to the ball and put it out of decent ballparks. 2023, his barrel rate was 12.2, 24, 7.6. He turned it around a little bit last year at 9.6. This year, 5.2. Listen to his launch angles. 2024, 8.9. Last year, 10.2. This year, 5.6. And he's topping the ball right now like a machine. 2026, he's topping the ball at a rate of 42.5. Last year was 34%. 2024 was 36.8%. So
back up a little bit, Brian. Back up a little bit, and give give the listeners an average of what the barrel rate is, and then around somewhere around 8-9%, 10%, somewhere in there.
Right, it's just 9%. The league average on a barrel rate. Yeah. Yep.
So where he and this year he's a what, 7%?
He's a 5.2% barrel rate.
I mean, that's AAA stuff.
It's horrible. His power contact has absolutely disappeared, and partially because pitchers know where to throw the ball. That he's just gonna throw the bat out there and not make contact.
Well, he can't
control the zone as a hitter.
We've talked for a couple of years with Yiner. His problem is he doesn't make them throw strikes. He gets himself out. Yeah. He's also got a really weird looking swing. He's one of the few guys I've seen that can throw that front shoulder open. He's got his front shoulder kind of comes open, but if he gets that pitch inside, he can. He's strong enough to where he can really rack it. Well, what they're doing now is they're throwing him outside, and that shoulder opens up. He gets no barrel, he gets no power, and he hits little toppers.
Yep. Yeah, it's I don't know. There's certain underlying things that tell me like this kid could be fixed. And to play devil's advocate, there may be a few reasons not to give up on Yiner. One of those is that he's not striking out very much. So his strikeout rate is only 15.7%. So that's still better than the league average. Yeah. But that's
the league average is 21, 22%.
Yeah, and he's putting a bat on the ball and he's putting it into play.
Actually, it's higher than that, but
horribly.
But you get the idea.
Yeah, his expected numbers are better than his actual results. So his OPS is ugly, but StatCast still has him at a 262 xBA batting average, a 392 x slug, and a 299 x WOBA. Those still aren't great by themselves, but they suggest that he's been a little bit more below average than just, completely unplayable. His track record, OPS in 2024 was great. Last year he had 20 homers. And so, I wonder if this guy's just not made for the catching workload. If he's just exhausted himself by them playing him too much, maybe. I'm going to eat some crow here for some of these people that have hung out with me for a while. Maybe Dusty was right about this guy, that he's not a everyday starting catcher, and he needs some time.
Yeah, here's one. OPS over the last 7 days for Yiner's 321. Woof.
Oh God.
Here's the bigger question. Yiner makes 4.5 right now.
Yep, here we go. Yeah.
Okay. He's going into his second year of a 3-year arbitration. What do you do with him?
Yeah, because he's going to ask for 6 or so.
He's going to ask for 6 or 7 or somewhere in there. Last year they had a big delta between what he thought he should get and what the Astros offered. The Astros offered 3. He asked for 4.5. Arbitration being the animal it is, it's either or. It's not the guy says in the middle. The Astros are going to probably, rightly come and say, dude, we'll maybe give you 4.5 just because you got an extra year. he's going to come in and say, I want 7. And the chances is Yiner would probably win at 7. And so the question is, do you tender him? Yiner,
tender him. Yeah.
Do you tender him? I mean, do you even offer him a deal and just say, Yiner's been fun, but you're on the downward trail and your estimation of your value is diametrically opposed to what ours is. So, so what do you do? He's so strong, like you said, he's so strong and he's shown signs. He's got a strong arm, but he doesn't throw a lot of guys out. The pitchers pitch better to Vasquez than they do to Diaz. It just is. I mean, I held out for him. I said in some group chats earlier this year, he's an average catcher, and he's probably on, if you had that third in the middle of average catchers, he's on the lower end of that average third, but
so here's one of the, I guess here's one of the questions potentially with Correa coming back next year. Who knows what happens with Christian Walker if they're able to run him and his money out. What are the prospects of the Astros sticking with Yiner, but potentially making him a first baseman? And I mean, he played a little bit there last year.
Have you paid much attention to him?
But no, it wasn't.
He's a butcher.
It wasn't great, but
he's a butcher.
I don't know. It may be a better compromise to, reduce some of the defensive responsibility that he's got with so much time behind the plate. I mean, he's not even an asset there. I mean, here I go defending Martin Maldonado. Good Lord, who'd have thought this day was coming? But Maldonado brought something to the team from behind the plate. Nobody cared that he hit a home run 1 out of every 110 at bats. But Yiner's not really even managing this. It doesn't even appear, at least, that Yiner is managing this rotation very well.
Yeah, as you brought up a good comparison with Maldi, because the only person that could get Fromber to listen was Maldonado, because you could tell when Martin and his dyed pink hair would come out to the mound, it was a whole lot of yes sirs going on.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, Mark.
But I mean, to me, I have not done a lot of looking at the catchers that are coming about. I mean, you've got guys like, Walker Johnnick, who's he's finally healthy and hit 467 this last week.
Coming around.
If he is able to progress to where they can give him, say, 3 weeks, the AAA ends middle end of September. Mm-hmm. And if they can get him 2 or 3 weeks in AAA just to see how he handles it, don't close the book on him yet. And they could say, we're going to give you a chance, or, they're going to run with Vasquez and try to find somebody else in there. Vasquez is getting older. He's hitting about 200.
I mean, they signed Matt Tice.
Yeah, but Matt Tice is just a guy in case one of these two get hurt.
Yeah. He's a
Matt Tice.
For sure.
Matt Tice was a first rounder for the Angels, and he was a hit first catcher, but he only had one problem. He didn't hit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's pretty obvious.
The Astros we'll just see how he does.
Yeah, they saw a depth problem at catcher. Obviously, they had the injuries down in AAA, Salazar, and so they needed depth in AAA. But again, I not to read too much into it, but they did sign.
No,
Tice.
They just put him down there because if our guy gets hurt, you got Salazar that's gets hurt. You want to have at least somebody who's got some major league experience, won't be overwhelmed by the environment.
Yep, for sure.
So now that we've cut Diaz and put him on the scrap heap and ensured he never plays another game past this season, what about Pena?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's obviously been a ton of chatter about Jeremy Pena and teams calling about Pena, and he's a good fit here. This team would be a good fit to trade with the Astros for Pena. I think again when we talk about the way that it looks on paper, it makes sense to dangle Pena out there and see what you can really get from it, right? In reality, it just doesn't make sense for this team right now if they're still trying to truly make a run at the playoffs, at least. I mean, the hard questions are because his value may never be higher than it is right now. He's hot. He plays shortstop, postseason pedigree. He's got control through 2027. It's the kind of player that contenders overpay for. This is the kind of guy that people just give the farm away for. The Astros farm system needs help. It's thin. Trading Pena would bring back multiple high-end pieces that this team could use to fill in spaces and build depth.
The trade we talked about, and God knows we don't have any inside information. We just throw a hypothetical out of what it might look like. You have a major league player and three of the Yankees' top 12 prospects. So they could probably ask for more if the Astros were to have a road trip. Let's just say they lose 3 in a row to the Angels and 2 out of 3 to the Rangers. You're in a situation where your chances of making the playoffs are difficult at best. And so what you're talking about is Dana throwing it out there and say, if nothing else, holding an auction and saying, okay, what's it look like? What's his market look like?
Who's going to bring what? Yep.
Yeah. What's the market look like? And you tell everybody it's kind of like selling a house and you got a multiple offer situation. I mean, you're saying, okay, bring your best and tell me what you got.
It's almost got to be a completely irrational trade.
It's got to be something where you say, why would you do that? And you say, because that's what it took to get the deal done.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
and it's got to be one of those deals that says that it was literally too good to pass up. It can't be a fair offer. It can't be a decent offer. It's got to be one that makes you go, what the hell are you thinking?
It can't just it can't just make sense.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
The thing is that in the deals I've negotiated in my working career, it was like you got science that got you to 85, 90% of the way there. And you can kind of put your numbers there and say, this makes sense. That last 5 to 10% is just art.
Yeah.
Why'd you do that? Well, that's what it took to get the deal done.
Yeah.
The deal we threw out for the Yankees was something like a Dax Kilby. It was a Elmer Rodriguez. It was a Henry Lalaine. And then we'd say, just so we have a shortstop with a warm body, give us Volpe or Caballero. Well, I mean, if you've got Boston on one side and you got the Yankees on the other, and some other team that looks like they need a shortstop who can do it, you get 3 teams going. You might get an extra, instead of the top 12, you might get 3 of the top 8.
Yeah. Yeah, you just never know. I mean, especially considering where the majority of the league is sitting right now. You have a dozen to 16 teams that are all within 4 to 5 games of making the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I guess so. The devil's advocate here is the Astros aren't out of the race to making the playoffs themselves. So you lose out on the opportunity to trade him at the deadline. But then what happens in the offseason? We're talking about this. I mean, you go to Boris and you say, hey, we gotta make something happen, or we've got to run him in the offseason. Obviously that trade looks way different than a deadline deal, but even if this team doesn't make the playoffs, Pena's value is still really high. If they do make the playoffs and Pena performs really well during the playoffs, which he has a history of doing so, do you feel like that offseason trade, pending CBA issues, I guess, if we're
See,
even
that's where I was going on this thing.
is, what kind of a risk do you really take not doing a deadline deal to get the most that you can out of Pena, and potentially waiting till the offseason to see, one, what kind of deal you might be able to cut to go ahead and extend him, or two, run the risk of his not necessarily his market value being affected, but because of the market and the potential CBA lockout, um, not getting a team not getting a full year of Pena before he's a free agent.
Yeah, when you're playing in this year, you know what the rules are. You go into the off season, you really don't know what those rules are going to be. Unfortunately, it sounds like from what you're hearing so far is the owners are okay with falling on their sword about some of these salary cap deals. The players sound like they're happy. They're happy to fall on their sword of not having a salary cap. And eventually, what was probably going to happen is they're going to work some sort of a bracketing situation to where the compensation will make it that salaries will be somewhat in place. But the thing about it is that's so stupid about the salary cap or no salary cap, and I've been on both sides of this issue. You've got a team like the Dodgers. The Dodgers make all the right moves. Their prep is good. The players they bring in. I mean, Tucker's not having a great year, but he's not having a terrible year. He's getting hot. Rarely do you see the Dodgers just completely flame out on a a batter or a player.
Yep.
The Mets. I mean, the Mets are just awful. I mean, the Mets do. We'd say the Mets do Mets things.
Yep.
And so I don't know with salary cap, no salary cap, you cannot legislate good management.
Yeah. I mean, and I think when you look at this team, you've got why. What reasons do you have to become a buyer? There's a few, right? I mean, you just took 2 or 3 from a division leader. You've won 3 of your last 4 series. Hunter Brown's starting to look okay. Pena is red hot. Jordan is still Jordan. Paredes is doing Paredes things. You're right on the cusp of taking over the West, really. You come out of that really bad series against the Orioles and then go 5-1. But with that said, you still have Sunday that exposed a lot of your issues. You've got the Yiner problem and Nick Allen getting extra playing time, and the outfield still seems somewhat unstable. Blanco kind of made you throw some question marks out there. Arrigetti's now hurt. Your bullpen coverage is thin and improbable. You're still under 500.
Yep. Ryan, here's
so many questions here, man.
Let me jump in. There's always the way that I analyze what a team's possibilities are. How many times do you have to say if?
Okay? Yeah.
If you take how many times you have to say if, and your chances of winning are inversely proportional to how many times you got to say if.
Yeah.
And the Astros have a lot of ifs. And you hate to see them tear stuff up. But there are things that are coming on the farm that are looking better and better all the time.
Yeah.
They've got free agency. To me, I wish they would, they're trying to choose a lane and they want to choose the buy lane, but they ain't got the horsepower to pass up the guy in front of them. They're trying to pass a Ferrari with a Volkswagen Beetle. It just ain't gonna happen. And
we'll see.
I say,
there's down 3-0 right now.
In my working career, and when I was in the Caribbean, there's a guy who had a great saying. It says, "No matter how long and hard you train it, you cannot train a jackass to be a racehorse."
Oh, jeez.
You just can't do it.
Very true. This is
You
very
can't
this is
do it.
very
And
true.
so
Yeah.
to me, I wish the Astros would at least listen to what Pena comes. If someone says you're trying to get him on the cheap because you know you're not going to win, then fine. We'll hold on to him and see what happens over the winter. But let's see what's out there, because this team is just not enough. They're down 3-0 now.
Yep, it's 3-0. The Angels have a man on second with 2 outs. Well, all we can do, man, is continue to watch and continue to hope that this team somehow figures it out, because there's a lot of question marks. There's still a decent amount of baseball to be played for this team to really turn something around. So
that'll do it early, man.
That'll do it for us tonight. Yeah. This, I don't know. I might not be staying up to watch the end of that Angels. I don't know. We'll see.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Oh, man.
We'll see.
All right.
We'll see.
For my man, Wally, I'm Ryan. This has been another episode of Dirt Diamond Sports Talk, part of the Spark Podcast Network. Go hit subscribe on your favorite podcast app, and we will see you next time. Till then, go Astros.